Everybody's talking about AI, or artificial intelligence. It's the latest revolution since the internet, right? Or is it? I remember a time back before the internet was even around. And back then, I was learning a computer programming language called QBasic. Now, the Q stood for quick. So it was a quick form of the basic programming language. Now, in the book, they had examples of code you could write. And one of the examples was for an artificial intelligence program, a chatbot. And when you ran the software, it would say things like, it would start out and say hello or hi, and then you could respond. You'd say, hi, how are you doing? It would say, I'm doing great. How are you? How was your day? And it had a list of questions that you could ask it, followed by a list of answers that it could provide. And it could choose different answers even if you gave it the same input. So if you said hi, it could say good morning. Or you could say hi again, and it could say, how are you doing? You could say hi again, it would say, how's your day? And if you looked at the code, it was just a simple select case loop. And that was really all it was. But the program felt like you were talking to a person, albeit a person with a limited set of answers to a limited set of questions. In fact, if it didn't have a predetermined question in there with a predetermined answer, when you responded in such a way, it would just say, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Or I haven't learned enough to have this conversation, or whatever was programmed into the code. Now, in fact, it was pretty fun. I would say it was more fun than scary. I would even say it's not scary at all. The book also underlined that artificial intelligence was just that. It was artificial. And it could never be real human intelligence. Humans, after all, make computers. And the artificial intelligence software is also written by humans, which also runs on those computers that the humans make. So the software is really just a clever way of following instructions that the programmer inputs into the software. You can think of it like a calculator. A calculator is a it's an electronic device, and it either has software or it has a circuit board inside of it that has logic circuits. And it waits for input from a user so that it knows what to calculate. So when you do your addition or multiplication, you punch those numbers into the calculator and then it calculates those numbers pretty quickly. Maybe faster than you could do it in your head. However, the calculator takes a lot of additional steps to perform that same calculation. A human could do that same calculation on its own. It would just take longer, but it would actually take less steps. A human can write the numbers on a paper with the signs and an equal sign and do the arithmetic. Whereas the calculator has to do hundreds, if not thousands or millions of cycles to come up with the same answer. So does that make a calculator smarter than a human being? No, not at all. In fact, a calculator is a tool. So we have to recognize AI as a tool. Now, I can remember having a conversation with my older brother one day. I had a laptop, we lived together, and on that laptop, we basically did everything. We watched YouTube, we watched Netflix, we looked up stuff on the internet, we could send and receive emails, you name it. And we started talking about AI. And he made the comment that if this computer had AI, it could float up into the air and shoot laser beams at us. And I said, in order for this laptop to float into the air and shoot laser beams at us, we would have to install the lasers that it shot at us, and we would also have to install the propellers that it used to float up into the air. He wasn't convinced. He thought that artificial intelligence could come up with something that I couldn't come up with. Maybe a resolution to that problem that I couldn't solve on my own. Who knows? But I really don't think so. Besides, you wouldn't even need AI to do something like that anyway. If you're into that sort of thing, you could just get a helicopter and put some lasers on it and shoot yourself. Or you could even set it up where you could give it text commands or even voice command and tell it to shoot you, if you're into that sort of thing. So if we think we're on the brink of a Terminator 2 situation, it's not going to happen. You see, machines are just following our instructions, and they don't have emotions. So for a machine to want to rise up against humans, it would have to feel as if we did it wrong somehow. And because they don't have emotions, they're never going to feel that way. Now, you might be thinking about some of these artificial intelligence robots that look real, that look like human beings. But even those are just robots. They have a membrane with all kinds of electronical mechanisms underneath its skin, its quote-unquote skin, that make it look like it's giving off something we would interpret as emotions. But again, it's artificial. It's not real. It never can be real. So the machines, whether they like it or not, can only do what we tell them to do. So if the machines ever rise up and take us over, it's because we told them to do it.